Welcome to the 116th video in our series about Unix tools. In this video, I will show you how to build software that uses the cmake build system. The example software we will use is qpdf, which is a tool for working with files in Adobe's PDF format. The URL is shown. But before we dive in, let me tell you a little bit about cmake. The cmake tool is used to do three things. One, it checks your system to make sure required dependencies are installed so you don't build and then find out, oh, I don't have the library. Number two, you can select or deselect optional components. You can also do other configuration. And if you select a component that has a dependency, cmake will make sure that dependency is available. Three, generate a build file for another build system. Yeah, weird. Nowadays, that other build system is usually Ninja, but you can also generate a make file if the upstream people follow the cmake rules well. Most people only test with Ninja, and I recommend you use Ninja if you can. So yes, it's strange. You have to use a build system to generate instructions for another build system, which actually does the build. In this video, we'll look at cmake, but you need to be aware there is a competing system that works similarly, but which is not compatible, called Meson. The Meson system requires Python, but the cmake system does not. A lot of software that aims to be cross-platform so that it supports Linux and Windows uses the cmake build system. It isn't really any better than AutoConf, but it's more popular. Okay, you may not care about those details, but you do need to know how to build projects that use cmake. So, let's do it. The first thing we need to do, of course, is go get the software. I told you there's the URL, and it's on GitHub. And you may think, oh my gosh, we got to do Git. No, we don't. This project is a good project. They have real releases. So you click on releases over here, and we go find a nice tarball. And you can see they have all these assets available. So the one you want is here. And then you right click that and copy the link. And then you can do a wget. And then we also need the file itself. So we, wow, where is it? There it is. So we've got the cryptographic signature and we've got the actual archive. So you want to verify that nothing got corrupted on the download, like that. And you can see we don't have the key. So we have to go get the key. Boring. But that's how it goes. And we hope it's going to go get that key. But you never really know. There it is. It got it. So you might need that key again, especially if you did this on more than one system. So we should store that key in a file that we can easily transport. I am glazing over the details of using GPG, but we'll save that for another video. At this point, we can go back and do our verify, and the verify says good signature. That's what we care about. The warning, just ignore it. But the good signature, that means that our download is bit for bit what it's supposed to be. So here's our qpdf, and the next thing we need to do is find out, did they have a top level subdirectory or not? You don't want to unpack it until you're sure. And we can do that with commands that we already know how to do. Remember, T is to just see what's inside, get a listing. Okay, we scroll back a little bit. Wow, it's huge. So maybe we need to pipe that through less. And you can see at the top, it does create a subdirectory, so it will not pollute your primary directory, but you can't trust that. There might be some files that are not in that directory. You need to quickly check all the files. And this thing has a great many, but you can see everything is in that subdirectory. So it's safe to unpack. So now we'll do the same thing, but we'll extract the file. And it's going to create this subdirectory. So we're going to go into that subdirectory, and we're going to take a look and see what we've got. And you'll see this is what we've got. And if you don't know what to do, you might check the README. And it's got some licensed stuff, and you can see it's a markdown kind of format. But they tell you you have to have a C++ compiler, and clearly it's a cmake project. It tells you we're going to need zlib and JPEG. You know, why in the world does a build system need JPEG? I don't know, but it does. And it says you're going to need GNU TLS or, and it scrolled off the screen because clearly this is from some Windows weenie, so they didn't wrap the lines, or OpenSSL. And then they tell you there is a detailed manual available here that we can't see because, again, some Windows weenie wrote this and didn't wrap the lines. But there it is. We can take that and feed it into another tab. So building and installing qpdf. Now we've got some decent directions. This is a little bit easier to read. Okay, and we're scrolling around. And they're going to tell you, oh, they want libtiff and GoScript. They want everything. But that's for building documentation. And you're going to need Sphinx and read the doc Sphinx thing, blah, blah, blah. We don't need all that. We can use the documentation online. But starting with qpdf 11, qpdf is built with cmake. Basic build instructions. And they tell you what to do here. Okay, and what they say to do would probably work for a lot of people, but we want more control than that, so let's get to it. First, make sure you don't have a directory called build. Some projects include one just to mess with you. Okay, there is no project named build, so now we'll do a cmake. cmake starts up a curses interface and lets us select things easily with a nice interface you're going to see in a minute. The source is this directory. The build is going to be build. And we hit it. And you can see empty cache. What do you do? Well, down here at the bottom, you can see we need to do the configure. So you hit C, and it starts looking for all the dependencies. And then when it's all done, it gives you some warnings. It says it's not totally happy, but we can exit. And now we can see what's going on. Documentation build is off. Good, because that pulls in a bunch of stuff. And the truth is, we just want to run cmake. If we want documentation, we're going to go somewhere else. The install prefix, well, that's no good. We can't install into user local because we're not root. We need to put that into our home.local. So hit enter, and then we can do our home.local like that. Okay, and then the build type, and they tell you there are some choices, and of course it's scrolled off the screen again. All these people assume you've got 5,000 columns or something, but what we want is release. That's what you always want unless you're actually developing this software. So put in release, Now, how did I do that? I said enter and then type and then enter again. Okay, great. And then default crypto, and it says specify default crypto otherwise chosen automatically, and they don't give you any other hint, so we better let it be automatic. Okay, then we take a look around and we say, it can't find the GNU TLS stuff. Is that gonna break the build? We don't know yet. Install examples. Do we need examples? I don't think we need examples. My disk has finite size. Install the manual? No. Package config? Yeah, we probably need that. Okay, they did find a LaTeX. They don't have LaTeX MK, whatever that is. Some kind of Suki, I don't know. Maintainer mode, no. And they do have this. Q-test color. Output should be in color. Everybody knows Mr. Ham hates color output. So we're going to turn that off. Okay. We're not going to run the test. We're just going to trust it. So there it is. We've made those changes. After we make those changes, we hit configure again. And it says okay, and notice we now have a choice for G for generate. But we haven't picked the whether we want Ninja or Make or whatever. That's not on the simple menus. To get the fancy menus, you have to do the T for the toggle. So we'll do a T, and T is going to show us a lot more stuff where we can choose the compiler and we can do all these things. And notice we have release, so here it is, release. 03 is not safe, so I'm going to press enter, and then I'm going to use the arrow keys and back up, and with a backspace, press a 2, and I'm going to press the N key, and it didn't work. So I'm enter, 2, and then I'm going to use the arrow key to get to the end and press enter. Now we're going to build with optimization level 2, but no debugging, which that's what we want. Color make file, we don't want that. We want that to be off because Mr. Ham says the color looks terrible on the white background, and it really does. Okay, then we come down here and it says what's our cmake C compiler and what's our cmake CSX compiler. Okay, C++ and CC. Well, I probably want to make sure I get G++, and I'm going to come over here and make sure I get daggone. It's a little tricky to get used to, but there it is. We made sure we got G++ and GCC and not something else. On the C flags, again, enter, come over here, put in a 2, use the arrow, and make sure we use only optimization level 2. Export compile commands. Yes, I want to see each compile command, so if something goes wrong, I maybe could fix it. Okay. Our install prefix is still good. The linker, we're fine with that. We've got a cmake program here, and we're looking, and we're looking. The R path, probably leave that alone. Verbose make file, yeah, we want that. And then there's a lot of stuff here, which is why they don't show all this by default. Okay, you notice nowhere did we get to select what build system we want. And you might say, Mr. Ham, you promised I could select a build system. I did, but you can see we couldn't do it. So we have to ask ourselves, why is that? And so we jump over to the internet. And we type cmake use Ninja. And it says, and we're looking for something we could actually understand. And we click on this, how to use Ninja. And you can see they used a -G Ninja option. Okay? And we didn't. So, after all this hard work, we're going to do a Q, quit without generating, and we're going to put the -G Ninja. That is an uppercase N. Okay, we're doing it again. We're going to toggle the advanced mode, and we're going to come down here, and we want release. We don't want a color make file. We want to fix this. We want to fix this. We want to fix this one. We want to fix this one. We want to export the compile commands if we can. And then we look around. Yes, our install prefix is still okay. It remembers some of the stuff we did. But this time we're going to get the Ninja build, we hope. And you can use the page down if you're in a hurry. Let's do a configure with a C. And it says, oh, error, generator Ninja does not match the previously used stuff. And at this point, you're starting to think, wow, this tool is terrible. I agree with you. So remove the build directory and do it again. Empty cache finally. Now we do the configure. We exit. And we have to go through and make those changes again. But this time it doesn't remember anything because we cleared it out. Okay, so that sets our install to home local. And then the other stuff we can't see because we're in the, the stupid newbie mode. And we need to turn on advanced mode with the T. And once we do that, then we can come down here and we can take a look, set our build type to release, come down here and do this again. Again, it'll take a little getting used to for most people. But this is how it goes. We got the C++, yeah, we don't want that. We want G++. Okay, export compile commands, we want that on. And then, is there anything else we need to fix? Verbose make file, turn that on. Okay then, it seems good. Hit C for configure. It says some warnings. CMake build type is not set. And we did CMake build type, but we'll do it again. Release. Configure. Okay, this time the configure worked, and you can see there's a G down here available. G. Finally, the system is ready to go. And if you take a look on your build directory, you'll see, wow, it generated all this crazy stuff in the build directory. What happens next? Well, you look at this and you look at this and you say that's just not helping much. Let's try this one. And this is one of those help messages. where everything is true and nothing is useful. Very IBM-ish. And then you say, what are we going to do? Hello World with cmake and Ninja, and it's a stupid video. Why everything has to be a video, I don't know, but that's the way people like it. So then we just keep flailing around. We don't really know. So cmake build. Try that. Okay, here we go. cmake build the directory, and there's the stuff. So cmake build, and our directory was called build. Finally, now we're cooking with gas. But you can see, although we asked to see the compile output, we don't get to see any compile output. But it is moving. There are 454 steps, and it's on step 150 something now. We didn't ask for qpdf fuzzer, we wanted qpdf, and so you might wonder what's going on. Well, let's find qpdf. We'll have to get the directory first. Find build name qpdf. Did we get anything? There are actually 3. So we could send this to xargs, and you'll see those 2 are directories. This one seems to be an executable. It is. Okay, 64-bit executable, dynamically linked. You can see it can find all the libraries. So if we wanted to try something simple, yes, we've got qpdf, it's ready to go. But we haven't installed it yet. All we've done is built it. So let's pop back over to here, install a project, cmake, install dir, and some options. Sounds good to me. Cmake, install, build. But wait. Is it going to install to our home local, or is it going to install somewhere else? We don't really know. And we'd like some kind of dry run. So far, this has been a really good cmake synopsis, and I'm going to bookmark that. But I really want some kind of dry run. A dry run is where it tells you what it would do, but it doesn't actually do it. Okay, and you can see here's where I use the -s dot and the -b. It's shown how to do it. We're going to look at these options and see if there's any kind of dry run. The -g was how we specified the build system generator to get the Ninja. Okay, tool chain. -w is always warnings. We can list stuff. Wow, log level. Try compile. Debug. Trace. Check. Profiling. Presets. Build. Preset. List presets. We did the build already. Install. And you can see we don't really have much. The only thing we could do is put a verbose on there. So at this point, I'm going to say it's time to be brave. And we try it. Since I am not root, if it tries to install into the real USR or the real USR local, I should get errors, permission denied. Okay, what'd we get? And you can see it tried to install into user local. And we got an error, permission denied, it can't do that. So, And you might wonder, well, how can we make it install somewhere else? And they say, well, you could give a prefix to override the cmake install prefix. Okay. Sounds good. Okay. There it is. It put everything in home local. Does it work? Yeah, that's the next question. Well, remember, anytime you install something, you're going to have to do a --r to tell the shell, hey, forget the old cache values. Now we should do a which on cmake, and it's finding the wrong one. It's still finding user bin cmake. So we need to look at home john.local. And you can see there's no cmake. Why is that? Because cmake is our build tool. We're not looking for cmake. We're looking for qpdf. Aha! So the qpdf is there, and if we get ready to run it, we got 11.9.0, not 11.9.1. What's going on? I'm a little suspicious. But it says 11.9.0 there too. And you think, I'm in 11.9.1. But it says 11.9.0. Why is that? Why is that? And when we did this, and it says that's a directory, dummy. It's a directory. And you say, okay, let me try this one. That's 11.9.1. So why, when I do a qpdf, am I getting $11.9.0? I'm getting the wrong one. Somehow I'm still getting the wrong one. We look at the path. It says that should be there. And we do a which qpdf. It says I should be running that one. And I run that one. And it's 11.9.0. At this point, you're going to start to wonder, what did they put in your drink? Did they put some chemical in your drink to cause trouble? There is a user bin qpdf, and that's 11.9.0. So somehow, when we try to run qpdf, we're getting this, even though we run that. And my mouse action is not great. When we look at this, and we look at libqpdf, you can see the problem. It got libqpdf from here. It did not get libqpdf from home, local, whatever. Okay? It pulled in the system libqpdf, which is the wrong one. If we go into home, local, we want this one. Okay, we want this one, and we got this one. This is one of the many reasons why shared libraries, despite how much people say they're wonderful, can cause you a great deal of pain. There is an environment variable that will affect the behavior, and it's not being set right now. So just for the sake of testing, let's set that and then try qpdf version, and we get the right stuff. So our problem is pretty clear now. Okay, when I set the library path to look here first, that's what that does. That says look here and then look in the system. When it looks for that libqpdf, it found the home John local one, which is the one we want. And then when it looks for the standard C++ library, there isn't one in home John local. So it looked here, it couldn't find it, so it goes to the system libraries like it should. Okay then, what can we do to fix this problem? Well, there are alternatives. The best thing to do would be build a static executable. And to do that is tricky. And GCC and glibc, they don't like to do static. The cheap answer is put this with an export into our home profile and stay with the dynamic libraries. And so that's what most people are going to recommend, and I don't want to lead you astray and go against what most people recommend. So come to the bottom, and after you set your cargo environment, then you do your export. And if you're worried about, well, what if I really use some other Bourne shell, then you should do this in 2 steps. You should do the assignment and then the export on another line. That works even with a 40-year-old Bourne shell. It'll work with Ash and those weird simple shells. So there we go, we've done that. How do we test it? We have to get out, log back in, okay, we have qpdf. It's 11.9.1. Everything is beautiful. And we achieved our goal. And you might ask yourself, oh yeah? Yeah. What commands did we really have to do? And there were many, okay, in all this debugging. So how do we weed out what we needed and what we didn't need? First thing to do, let's put history into some file. I'll use Bob. I don't have a Bob, so Bob is safe. And then we need to come down here and say, where do we start doing anything about qpdf? Here. This is where we got the files. Okay? And then, we checked them. That didn't work because we had to go get the key server and save it, and then it worked. Okay? And then we looked for the qpdf files. We piped it through less to make sure we had a top level directory in the archive. And then we unpacked it and we went in there and we checked what we had. We did some readme. We made sure there wasn't a build. And then we did that first cmake. All that work but we forgot to do the -G Ninja, which you notice wasn't in a lot of the help. But now we do it. There's your cmake, your cmake. There's your cmake. And then we did find to find the file. We made sure it worked. And then our first build failed, but that one worked. And then we did the #-r to which cmake. And we had all this trouble with the version stuff, if you remember, which was extremely irritating. And it turned out to be we needed to set the LD library path. So while it was an interesting adventure, I don't really think you want to do that every time. The next time you do this, you're going to know. I did an echo of LD library path because I had to make sure we didn't need to add to it. If it's already set, then you need to prefix this onto the existing path. But since it wasn't set, we could just assign a value and use it. And this was our testing to see what's going on. Then we modified the profile, and we'll put a little note, you know, somewhere. And when we did the version again, it worked. And so you might say, wow, how do I look at this and know what I did to the profile? Well, you might not, you know, two lines to the end of the profile. And then you think, wait a minute, I could do that with a cat, right? And yes, you could. Greater is an append. And then we set this. And we did an export. And then the EOF, which needs to match this, lets you know that's the end of it. Okay, we're doing pretty well. We're narrowing down what's going on, what we had to do, and we were successful. But you can see that it took a little bit of work. And this video is drug on for about, I don't know, almost 40 minutes to make this happen. Is there a better way? You know, this interactive cmake was pretty, but how do you know what settings we set? It doesn't show anything here. In the next video, I'll show you a better way to achieve the same thing. We're going to replace this line right here with something that does it from the command line and no interactive. This part was not interactive, and this part was not interactive, but this part was interactive and easy to use. It's how you do it the very first time you build it, because you don't know what the variables available are to set. But once you know what variables are there that you can set, there is a better way. And I hope you come back for the next video when I show you how to do that. Until then, at least now you know how to do some of this stuff, and you've learned lots. You've learned about the LD library path and what it does. It allows you to search somewhere before you search on the system libraries, so that it gets your shared objects before it gets the system shared objects. We've learned about the cmake build system, how to interactively configure it using Ninja, how to actually build the software if you have all the dependencies installed, and if you didn't, it would give warnings. And then finally, we showed how to install it into that home local so you don't need root power. You don't have to be system administrator. You can build this software just for you. Those are the things we learned. At least those are the things I taught. I hope you learned them. I want to encourage you to come back for the next video. And also, I want to thank you for listening.